Let's check it out and see what's going on today. Wife is planning to leave me, has left me for my best friend. And they've already started trying to get pregnant. I guess I should call in my former best friend at this point, but it's hard to accept it's all gone just like that. You spent so many years with a person building a relationship, and one day, it all turns to dust. I've known him since high school about 15 years ago. He was like a brother to me and like a son to my parents. When we were younger, we were at each other's houses all the time. He was always coming with my family on trips, and I did the same with his family. We've done so much together. He was the best man on my wedding, and I would have been the best man at his wedding. Many trips and nights spent out together. Many times we helped each other. Many conversations about life, love, ourselves. He was always my go-to person in tight situations, and when I needed advice, it's hard to say how much losing him hurts because for whatever else he was always there for me when I needed him and a solid source of advice. He was a true friend until he wasn't. It may be as big of a blow to lose him as losing my wife. I've been married to my wife for almost 5 years, but we've been together for 7. I remember when we first met, love at first sight. She was gorgeous, and had these really piercing blue eyes and a really infectious laugh. We hit it off. And no surprise, she accepted when I asked her out, even though I felt like she was out of my league. I fell even more in love with her as we got to know each other. She had such a passion for life and helping people. She was so kind and gentle with everyone, just a really warm person, and that made me love her more. I loved being married to her. And I always felt our marriage was great, not even just good. I was not one of those husbands that let himself go. I took care of myself and ate well. I remembered all of our anniversaries and special dates. When she talked to me, I listened and paid attention. I took an interest in her life genuinely because I loved her. And it was more important to me, but I also gave her space and avoided being too needy or clingy. I made sure to do my part around the house. I cleaned as much as she did. Our sex life was great. As far as I can tell, I did my best to love her and care for her the way a husband should, and show her she was appreciated. I tried my best to keep dating her after we married. I can say without any doubt that I never took her for granted. I don't know what else I could have done. I have asked myself that over and over again, and I still don't know. I wonder if I did too much. Did she think I was too much of a pushover? Did she not respect me? I'm not saying our marriage was perfect. We did have arguments. But they were never major ones. The trouble started when my best friend broke up with his girlfriend. He was pretty upset about it and took it hard. I talked to him, but my wife asked me one day if I cared if she went out for a coffee with him to talk and give him a woman's view or opinion. I told her that was fine with me. She and my best friend were also friends. We'd done couple trips with my friend and his girlfriend, and she'd also hung out with him tons because he was around me so much. I didn't think anything of it because the relationship never seemed inappropriate. I do remember him saying I was lucky, and she was attractive when we first started dating, and when I married her. But there were no inappropriate jokes or anything like that. My wife might have said he was handsome at some point, but that was it. I saw no red flags. Even after thinking about it more, I still don't see any. I never saw anything which made me think there was ever a chance of them being more than friends. When my wife came back from coffee, she seemed a bit off. She was really angry with his ex and said that he deserved better. I remember telling her something like he's young and he'll mend in time, and she seemed very upset by this. She said that he needed time and that whatever girl ended up with him would be very lucky, and his ex was a fool to leave him. I may be misremembering parts of that conversation, but that was the basic gist. She was very sparse on details and very vague, but it didn't seem weird to me at the time. It seemed like she was being protective the same way I would be protective of him as my friend. Her behavior started getting stranger after that night. She wasn't doing anything really overt or suspicious, but she was vague about what she was doing. She would say that she's going to see one of her friends or to run an errand. Stuff like that. I'm not a controlling person, and she'd never given me a reason to doubt her, so I didn't make an issue of it. And really at that time, I didn't find it so strange. I noticed my friend was being weird too, but I thought it was because of his split and him being depressed. I would invite him to hang out, and he turned me down, which was unusual. He never had a reason other than he was busy. I started seeing less and less of him, and when I did see him, he was different. I would not say nervous, but definitely seemed not to be comfortable. He sent me a message asking me to stop by his house one day. He said we needed to talk about some things, and he had to get some stuff off his chest. I drove over there not suspecting anything. I knocked on the door, and he came to answer. I tried to make some jokes and light conversation, and he completely ignored me. Asked me to go into the living room, and there was my wife sitting on his couch. I don't know if I knew at that moment, but it did feel a sense of dread start to come over me. She started crying almost as soon as I walked in, and he jumped right in and told me that there was no easy way to say what he was about to say. But he and my wife were in love and wanted to be together. I stood there completely stunned. I felt like I wasn't even alive for a while. When I started to come back to my senses, they both tried to say how sorry they were and that they both loved me and regret it happening. They told me that this just happened, and they never intended for things to turn out like this. They knew they were wrong, but it didn't matter because they were in love. They both promised that they had not had sex, and it was only an emotional affair. I'm not sure if that is true or not, but I don't know if it really matters. And that is basically where we are now. Since that day, I've gotten more texts from them apologizing and ones from my wife asking if I'm okay and telling me she's here for me and still cares for me. But I mostly ignore them. They aren't as frequent anymore either. She decided to move out of her house. I didn't ask her where she was going. A friend of mine told me that she moved in with my former friend as soon as she left. That was only a few months ago. She stopped by the house a few days ago to pick up some things. I tried to avoid her. But then she asked me if I had a second. She told me that she and my former friend are trying to get pregnant. She wanted to give me a heads up so that we can deal with it as we go through our divorce. She also wanted to tell me personally because she felt like I deserved to know and hear it from her. It hurts so much to hear how she's already moving on. We wanted to have children together, but she wanted to wait until she turned 30. Now he's going to get to be the father of her children, and I'm gonna have to watch her carry his child. I'm here looking for any advice you can give. I don't know how to deal with her getting pregnant. I feel like that's going to be a struggle and source of pain once it happens. I feel so jealous of him because he is getting the life I wanted with her. I also know that her getting pregnant is really the end. Once that happens, there's no chance we could reconcile. I have considered asking her to try counseling, but I haven't because I doubt she would be interested since she wants him and a life together with him. I also don't know how to process all this. Don't know how they could both do something like this or how I could not see it. I don't understand why she left when we were happy. I feel like I don't believe in anything anymore. If you can't trust your wife and a best friend and a marriage doesn't last with as much effort as I put in, that nothing is real and life is all one being lie. Life just isn't fair sometimes. Just when you thought it was over, here's an update. 1. I don't have much of an update, but I thought you guys deserve to know about a few things. 2. I decided I am going to message my former friend's ex to see what her version of the breakup is. Nothing may come of it, but I think I may have to at least see if I can find out anything else. 3. I had talked to one attorney, but haven't really gotten serious about a lawyer. Next week, I will start a serious look for one. My friends and family have given me some recommendations. I will go through their list. 4. I don't know when I will start it, but I'm pretty sure I'll enroll in some type of counseling. I don't feel like my mental state right now is very good. I don't think I have the tools to pull myself out of this. I need help. 5. I am thinking of writing to my wife and ex-friend. A lot of you asked me why I didn't do anything to him when they told me, and that bothered me because I realized I never took the chance to tell them how I feel and how they've hurt me. I feel like they need to know even if they don't care. 6. There were a lot of other suggestions about things to do to help deal with the situation. I'm going to make some changes around my house to try and make things more comfortable here until I can move. I will also try to keep myself busy, but in reality, the hard part so far has been nights when I'm alone, and it is quiet, like now. Alright, let's look to the community to see what we can do to help this guy out. Vivint Investment thinks you need to accept the fact that your wife is a very calculating and deceptive person. They did all of this behind your back, and she kept you in the dark while they started their relationship. Her feelings for you were long gone before they dumped this on you. Your friend just trashed and don't buy into any nonsense of checking up on you, caring for you, or being there for you. That is so pathetic and disingenuous that it is sickening. Telling you about her plans to get pregnant with him was not her being considerate. It was her trying to do some type of damage control, but it does tell you to get your legal affairs in order and push the divorce ahead as fast as possible to avoid potential paternity issues in the future and get these two snakes out of your life. You also need to make everyone in your family and friends aware of exactly what these two have done. The best thing you should do is never have any contact with your friend again at all. Make your ex aware that other than topics concerning the divorce, you'll discuss nothing else and that there will be no friendship or small talk. Avoid any place that they may be and keep things strictly business and let your attorney deal with her as much as possible. Make it a point to get everything that belongs to her out of your residence ASAP and then go as hard no contact as you can. Block them on everything. Get yourself into therapy so you can rebuild your self-esteem, heal, and move on to build a fulfilling life for yourself. It is a blessing that you did not have kids to this woman. You need to take care of yourself. Eat right, exercise, and get good sleep. Reach out and know that you are not alone. I am pulling for you. Here comes the op with a response. I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but it's so hard for me to think that about her. I never saw her act that way with anyone. She was always kind and genuine with people. At the same time, you're right. It would seem foolish to think that everything just happened as they say. I just don't know what happened. Even to the end, I felt like we were great together. There's no moment I can think of where I'd say she stopped loving me. I want to ask her so badly to try and make sense of all this. I could maybe make peace with it if she told me she stopped loving me, when, and why. I don't buy what they say either. I think they just feel guilty. All of your suggestions make sense. I may need to avoid them as much as possible to avoid causing more pain. I have told my family and some of our mutual friends what happened. Most have been really supportive. A couple didn't want to get involved or take sides. That investment's gonna round us out again. I'm so sorry you are going through this, but you have got to forget when you thought she was. They have both shown you exactly who they are and do not give them credit for having guilt. They do not. They're just saying what would be perceived as being good or nice. There's nothing good or nice about what they did. The reason you cannot figure out why this happened or saw no signs is because they both intentionally kept you in the dark. That is why it is so difficult for you to grasp this. They snowed you and then dumped this on you under the pretense of trying to be adult about it. That is part of the deception that has occurred, and they are continuing to make this as easy for them as possible. They are selfish and you are just something that they have to deal with in the meantime. You cannot give them credit or a pass on any of this. You have to feel yourself would resolve and think of yourself. They certainly are not. As far as your mutual friends, the ones that are supportive, keep them. The rest can be no more than casual acquaintances. One other piece of advice. Please do not pain shop by trying to keep up with what they are doing or asking others about them. It will only continue the pain. Your closure has already been provided in a very cruel way. They had their ducks in a row